Hi lovely ones, it's Ethony and welcome to Oracle Wednesday for the 21st of August to the 27th of August. I always make sure I have that absolutely correct. So you are here to pick a card for your coming week, and I am really loving how these decks are working together this week. As always, I'm going to show you the decks at the end of Oracle Wednesday, so don't you stress too much about trying to figure out what decks they are. Just watch all the way to the end. I'm about to swap cameras so you can pick the cards. You can see them laid out in a beautiful little altar I created today, and you can pick whichever one sings to your soul, whichever one you feel the most drawn to, that has a message for you for the coming week. And this week I'm using two decks I have never used before. For Oracle Wednesday. One I received in a swap from the lovely George Kearney, who is an amazing medium and reader in our community and someone I love big time. And the other one is a brand new deck, and the unboxing is going up this week. So I'm going to stop the rambling and I'm going to let you pick your pile for the week of the 21st of August to the 27th. We are getting to nearly to the end. Kids are going back to school soon. Halloween is around the corner. Fall is in the air. The trees are starting to turn. Back on track. Let's go pick a pile of cards. I now invite you to take a deep centering breath to ask yourself, your guides, your gods, goddesses, your ancestors, what message do I need to hear for this week? What do you have for me to learn, and what wisdom would you like me to know? And then pick the pile of cards that you feel most drawn to. This is pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. I recommend that you write down which pile you were drawn to, so you don't forget when we go over to the messages revealed. Again, pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. You picked your pile, let's get to those messages. Group number 1, pile number 1. I may say group, I may say pile. It just depends on which way the wind is blowing, baby. These are your cards for the week. We start off with the Ockham, I hope I am saying that correctly, card of Rowan. I am not going to attempt my Gaelic. I'm not very good at it. I actually had an entire book on and CD and course on how to speak Gaelic, and I'm not very good at it. I can say things like Cladog and things, and I say Ceridwen and Samhain and things like that, to Kernanos, but I'm just not very good at it, so I'm not going to try to say the name of the actual, let's see if we can get this to focus up here, of the Gaelic name, so I apologize. Someone's probably going to be like, you should be doing that, but I don't want to ruin the flow. So now with that disclaimer over, your first card is Rowan, and we are in a place of defense. This on the card, it says defense and protection. So when I was channeling the message this week for you lovely souls for pile number 1, this was more about the defensive perspective rather than the protective perspective. So you may have been going through life a little bit defensive lately, and taking things a little bit out of context, or things may be hitting a little bit too close to your armor. Those sorts of things may be happening a little bit for you right now. And while that can be very needed, while there are times when we need to be defensive, we need to have our protection up, we need to keep certain things and people at bay because it's good for our health, it's what is needed, it's what's honoring ourselves for all those juicy, wonderful, fabulous boundary, self-care reasons. Sometimes what can happen is, if that is our MO, if that is what we keep doing over and over again, and we build this habit of being super defensive just in the way in which we move through life, it's like a subtle energy, a subtle armor starts to build up around us. What can then happen is that you start to close yourself off subconsciously and energetically to anything new coming into your life. And that can be a little bit sucky. And then what happens when you've been closing all that off and you're like, you've like, all these things and I'm not seeing anything, it's because you closed yourself off. I'm going to say that a little bit more coherently. Then what can happen once you're in a mode where your armor is up and you're not allowing very much in because you've got this defensive, beautiful crab crustacean. Hopefully it is all glittery and gorgeous, like a decorated crab. What can happen is that you start to feel as though there isn't enough because you've shut yourself off from the tap. You turn the tap off. You've shut yourself off from the frequency. You've stopped opening yourself up to the possibility that there is more. So the second message for you this week, so we've got defensiveness. So just asking yourself a little bit of that question before I move on to your second card around, have I been a little bit too defensive? Am I closing myself off from possibilities because I don't want to get hurt, because I feel like there's not enough? Those are important questions to ask. Your second card is the koi fish spirit, and I love this card for so many reasons. The koi is the fish that I chose to use in my Prince Lenormand Oracle deck, that in the Lenormand system is connected to wealth, and then we've got this koi fish spirit saying that there is enough. So if you can focus on this flow of this majesty of these really beautiful fishies, they're so cute. You can focus on the opportunity and not the lack. You can start to bring down those defenses just a little bit more to start to see the possibilities, rather than getting stuck in a place where you feel as though there is not enough. Now, I am just looking at the notes that I channeled because I do sit down and have a session with the cards before I jump on, and then more comes out when I open the gob, because that normally is what happens. So really having a look at confirming with yourself through practices of gratitude and prosperity and abundance and sharing and openness that there is enough. Focus on the opportunity, focus on this. One of the things that one of my favorite people said to me was, when I move through traffic and there's a traffic jam, I don't focus on the car in front of me. I don't focus on the other cars that are all vying for space. I focus on the space. I focus on shifting my gears to allowing these openings to come up for me. And what a beautiful way to look at metaphor for moving into a less defensive space. And then your final card for this week is the Six of Pentacles. So one of the things that can be very difficult about shifting those gears and getting back into a place where you're like, oh, manifest, everything is going to be okay. I'm manifesting what I need. I've got more than enough, is that you can feel as though there really isn't. So the message that came with this was, use what you have to get what you want. So whether that is putting some stuff on eBay that you no longer wear anymore or use anymore, whether that, or Facebook Market, however you choose to get your stuff out. Do a swap with someone, barter with someone, even though depending on how you feel about bartering. Clear out your space, just seeing how you can interact with money and interact with energy flow and interact with space a little bit more, because this is a card of balance, of allowing things to come and go. And then we have that koi fisher being in flow as well. So it's important to move forward a little bit every day and do small gratitude practices, small practices that are going to open you up a little bit more each and every day to a space where you feel as though there is enough. So wrapping that up for group number 1, you have got defense in the Rowan. So asking yourself if you've been a little bit more defensive than needed lately, and then what you can do to sort of shift that energy a little bit. Acknowledging through daily practices and seeing the opportunities, not the obstacles, that there is always enough, especially when it comes to finances. And then there's Six of Pentacles, jig your space, get rid of some things if you need to, move things around, sell some stuff, use what you have to get what you want, to start to see that movement and to feel that movement and to see the magic kind of happen, because it needs to happen on all levels. So if you can kind of take a little bit of a step back this week for group number 1 and have a look at the patterns, have a look at how you interact with people and things, and kind of go, am I closed off here or am I opened up? That is going to help you out quite a lot this week. Group number 2, you are pile number 2, group number 2, you have got the Aspen. So this is courage. So on this card we have courage and steadfastness, and the message that came through this week was courage. I'm going to see if I can get this to, there we There are always photos of this in my newsletter. There are always photos of this on my Facebook page, on my Facebook profile, on my Instagram page. So you can always go and check those out as well. This is a real sure sign from your guides, from yourself, from your ancestors, whoever you asked when you picked these cards this week, to stay your ground, to stick to where your true north is, to allow your inner compass to guide you, and to not let other people sway you into their way of thinking or being. You can have your own opinion and still be friends with someone. You can disagree but still be in the same space or work with somebody, and you can even not see things eye to eye and be friends with someone. It's not about running around the world with a bunch of clones of people who agree and like everything the same thing that you do. Ew, gross, that's so boring. It's about just respecting. You have boundaries, they have boundaries, and when things become a little too much, just allowing the space, right? You don't need to push everything. You don't have to be aggressive about it either. You don't have to be aggressive about having to stick to your guns and stick to what you feel is the I hate that stick to your guns thing, because I'm definitely against like a lot of gun laws in the world, but stick your ground, hold your ground. So with this, it's saying that you don't have to do that aggressively. If you are so self-assured that you can just simply be and move through the world walking your talk and knowing who you are, that's going to come across in absolutely everything you do. You can be so self-assured that you don't need to be aggressive, and sometimes you don't even need to say anything at all. The second message this week for group number 2 is the fox spirit, and think on your feet. And another Lenormand animal that has come up in this week's reading, which is about doing what is necessary. But here, this really feels as though sometimes when you're in a situation where you're sticking to what you believe in, and you're really holding your ground, and you're having the courage to move forward and move on and live your life even if people don't understand it, is you can tend to kind of back ourselves into a corner, defending so much of what we want and who we are, and what we feel as though we have to really, our vision becomes a little bit tunneled, I guess is what I'm also trying to say. It's like when you are so assured that this is the right way to be, even though we are honoring ourselves, sometimes it's a little bit good to open things up and question things. I always love a good question, honey. We can tend to back ourselves into a corner. So this is about allowing, don't box yourself in. Don't box the fox in. Foxy boxing. Foxy boxing is a completely different thing. Group number 2, this week your challenge is to foxy box. Oh, good lord. So getting back on track. You don't have to box yourself in, Foxy. Options are always good to have, even if you're taking a stand on something. So one of my favorite movies in the entire world of all time is Dogma. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It is not appropriate for children in any way, shape or form, but it is an exceptional, funny, brilliant movie about religion and people, and just the ludicrousy sometimes of what we believe and what we get so freaking stuck on. Anyway, it is great. It is amazing. And one of my favorite lines, and I've said this before in a video somewhere, is Chris Rock is one of the apostles, one of Jesus' apostles. And I'm not going to get into it this week, or in this video, but I absolutely believe that Jesus lived. So he was saying that, it's easier to have an idea than it is to have a belief. An idea you can change, an idea you can expand upon, an idea you can question, an idea you can take to the table, and I'm paraphrasing here, I'm adding a lot more than what he says, but idea you can take to the table with other people with different ideas and come away with a more whole and rounded view on the world. And if you can do that, you become such a better fucking person for it. A belief, a hardcore belief, is so hard to change. And he said, I would rather people had, I think he talks about how Jesus was talking about ideals and ideas versus beliefs. But wouldn't it be better if we all walked around with having open ideas about the way in which, what grand scheme is happening, or how the world is designed, whether aliens have visited us? P.S. I believe there are aliens out there. I don't know if they visited us. They probably have. They probably looked at the hot mess we are and went, yep, we're not going down there. You guys can fix your shit out yourself. Get your own house in order. Getting off track again. But what I'm saying is that fox energy for me is very much that sentiment of having an idea is much easier to adapt and think on your feet and to evolve and change and allow it to integrate into your spirit, to having a hardcore belief in boxing yourself in. And then your final card for this week, group number 2, is the Queen of Swords. So in that, what you're being asked to do, and she's my significator in the tarot court, is to be clear, be fair, be kind, and be honest. And those are really the pillars of the Queen of Swords. Your words have an impact to everyone around you, including yourself and your situation. So even though you have got this being the courage in being who you are and not assuming that not wanting anyone's approval and not chasing anyone's approval, but just doing who you do and being who you are. The fox in having ideals rather than strict beliefs and not boxing yourself in and allowing yourself the room to think on your feet. And then to be clear, be fair, be kind, and be honest. Words are powerful. They are spells themselves. So it is a lot easier to bring about an energy in a life that you want, interactions that you want, the people that you want in your life, if you're able to align those words to who you are and being as authentic as absolutely possible. All right, that's group 2. Foxy boxing. I mean, come on, Ethony. Foxy boxing. It's probably the most sexist thing ever. I don't even know what foxy boxing is. I'm just assuming it's like 2 gorgeous women boxing that's been made for some, people to go. I don't know if they really do box. Anyway, I'm getting right off topic. Get off the foxy boxing, for goodness bloody sake. Your group number 3. Your first card is broom or reed. And that is cleansing for you this week. Even though it says cleansing and vitality, the message that came up was cleansing. Let's see if I can get this thing to... Can you please focus on the card? Oh, we had it for a sec. There we go. Okay. And so you are being asked to cleanse, to clean. It's actually no longer okay. You are being called out a little bit by spirit this week. I'm not going to lie to you that it is no longer okay to say you're going to clean your shit up tomorrow. This is exactly the message that got channeled when I was doing this today. It is no longer okay for you to say you're cleaning your shit up tomorrow. Open the blinds and clean your space. No more putting it off. I am in that basket. I need to clean my floors, so I'm going to go make sure I do that. So this is a call to have a look at when was the last time you cleansed your house, no matter, depending on how you do it. You could be doing them with sprays, you could do it with aromatherapy, you could do that with herbs, you could do it with drumming, singing, chanting, you can do it with everything. I have got an entire ritual that I do. I have a small ritual, a very fast one, and then I have a very full-on one using many of my tools like bells and things like that. So that's one sort of area of cleansing. The second one is to cleanse the mind, to meditate, to have a practice, even if it's 5 minutes a day, to clear yourself, clear your mind, and allow for some silence and some space in your ear, between your ear holes, in order for it just to a reset. One of the amazing things about meditation is not only is it an incredible tool for mental health and for learning how to be an amazing manifester and really good at visualization and really clear about who you are. It's a reset button for your mind. It's really great. And then also, if you can get away from noise and screens just for a little bit this week, that's going to really help clear the mind, because we've got so much shit coming in from all angles that it's nice to allow yourself a bit of a breather. And then if you can cleanse your body, that's next level. And I'm not talking about just having a shower, because that is basic hygiene. I'm not talking about that. Plus, if you haven't had a shower, please go have one. If you are watching this and you don't have access to a shower, I apologize. I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just saying, hopefully you get to shower soon, because some people don't have access to clean water, and we need to be aware of that. But it's more about can you maybe have 1 glass less of wine a night? Can you cut down a little bit on the sugar that you intake, things like that, just a little bit, not like going balls to the wall with some gross cleanser that's going to make you feel super sick, because that is not cute. It's more around just small things. If you can mind, body, spirit, a little bit of that cleansing this week, that's what you're being asked to do. Because things might have been getting a little bit chaotic. You may not really feel grounded. You may not really feel like you know who you are. You may not like the space in your home because you're just like, it feels like so staticky. And that's why. I always feel as though it's like if I'm not feeling at home in my own skin and at home in my own home, if I don't walk into my house and go, I know it's time to cleanse some stuff. Your second card is the beaver, eager beaver. Gosh, the first time I saw a beaver, I was like, I could not believe how freaking big they were. As a big ass rodent we have as the Canadian national animal. So the beaver is about solid foundations. So here, when you've done a cleanse, when you've done a clean, when you've removed all this gunky stuff, you can actually see where the foundations are, and you can, if you need to tend some cracks, if you're like, oh man, my foundation is rickety as crap, there's like things are bowing and bending and there's like, oh, what is that hole in the floor? You know, you can actually tend to those things and allow yourself to build a better foundation. Sometimes you need to also start again and throw out, like, just get rid of it. But oftentimes it's really just allowing yourself to lay a solid foundation. And a part of a good solid foundation for a spiritual practice is meditation, is, being aware of your energy, knowing when it starts to get heavy or affected by other people, and removing it and moving on. It is definitely an amazing gift if you can give yourself a bit of a reset this week. And then finally, for group number 3, we have the Page of Pentacles. And this is my Go Hug a Tree card. This is the go hug a puppy, a kitty cat. This is very back to basics. So if you're looking at it in a different context, you're like, I'm not going to go hug a tree and a puppy. I'll go hug a tree and a puppy. Anyone wants to come hug a tree and a puppy with me, you totally can. But this really is about getting back to basics. Putting your learning practice into knowledge. Grounding and cleansing and realignment is a basic spiritual practice for many people. Taking care of yourself, your energetic hygiene, meditating, like I mentioned before, it's all a part of so many practices around the world. Whether that is you praying to God, or you meditating for an answer, or giving yourself 5 minutes to get an attitude readjustment. I do this all the time when I feel like I've had too much input coming in. Being an empath, I'm very aware of how much I'm getting in, and I'm like, whoa, I need to turn off everything, go lie down for 20 minutes and have no noise, because I have maxed out my energy. So back to basics, getting really in touch with your body, grounding, centering. If you can go outside and hug a tree, I highly recommend it. So that is your group number 3. Cleanse, clean out your space, give yourself a good solid foundation of, first of all, clearing to seeing what is going on with your foundation, and then that daily practice of taking care of your mind, body, soul, energetics a little bit better, and then getting back to basics with this Page of Pentacles, going out, hugging a tree, all that kind of good stuff. I love me a good tree hug. They don't judge you, except sometimes, like I've done it and there's been a grossy bug on there and it's freaked me right the frick out. I'm not lying to you, not kidding. So those are your messages this week, my lovelies. So what decks did I use? I'm sure many of you have already pinpointed them. The first one is the Voice of the Trees, a Celtic Divination Oracle by Mickey Milner, and I got this tinned version from, as I mentioned, from George. It's so pretty. You can get this on Amazon. Look at the backs. You can get this deck on Amazon. It is an Ogham deck or Ogham deck. I'm not quite sure how to say that in Gaelic, so again, I apologize. Or Gaelic. Is it Gaelic or Gaelic? The Irish girl that I used to work with said Gaelic, so that's why I'm saying it like that. So it's a very sweet deck that has all the Ogham symbols, keywords, and I don't have a guidebook, but I know the one that you can get on Amazon does come with one. So it's a really pretty little I don't even have a set of Occam like proper casting runes. That'll be something that I will likely make for myself, or might be one of my purchases next year. At the moment I'm working a lot with Witch's runes and a lot with my Elder von Cards runes, so those are my major rune buddies. The second deck I used is the Spirit Animal Oracle by Colette Baron Reid. I am just a sucker for, I think it's Joanna, I'm going to find this artist. I know Hay House is getting a lot of shit from our community. I know not everyone is a big fan of Colette Baron Reid because she's like almost taking Jenna Della Gratellia. I love her artwork because it's like she's now almost like the new Doreen Virtue, pumping out all those decks because Doreen is no longer in our community. She was never in my community anyway, really. She was never my cup of tea. But I love this deck. The backs are exquisite. The backs are like, I would love my kitchen to have decor that look like that. The cardstock is great. It's a very stock standard Hay House standard deck. But I mean, some of them are like quite funny because it's like these bejeweled animals, but some like that's so gorgeous. But I kind of love it. It's just, I really like the artwork. And because I've been doing a lot of animal, like this vulture with the crown kills me. I have been doing a lot of animal work with my tarot summer school class, being animal, magic and tarot. I've been working with a lot of, there's another crowned bird, but you know, that's all gonna fall off. I really enjoyed working with this deck again. And I do have an unboxing of this on my channel. There's another crown. There's lots of crowns. These animals got into the dress-up box. These animals got into some dress-up box. They were like, I want to feel like a queen. And then everyone was like, yes, queen. And they were all like, yay. And it's, anyway. Right, well, I'm in a right royal silly mood at the moment, aren't I? And the third one is the Light Seers Tarot deck, which just arrived. I'm going to have the unboxing happening on my channel on Friday. Oh, this Queen of Pentacles is everything. This is by Chrisanne Donnelly, a lovely creator and just an inspiration of a woman with how much she's so talented. I'm not going to go through all of these, obviously, because I have got the unboxing coming, my unboxing coming this Friday. But this has been everywhere, and thankfully, rightfully so, on the grams, and everyone has been getting their copies. So it's just, and yes, I have also got the Muse tag. I've got all of Chrisanne Donnelly's stuff because I love her and she is extremely talented. These might be some of my favorites for 2019, I'd say. So those are the decks that I worked with this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please share it with the people that you love so they can pick a card as well. And I will see you all next week.